Hi, I'm Christopher Cudworth. I'm a wildlife artist and naturalist and writer. I'm here to talk to you today about the somewhat amazing phenomenon of how toads and frogs get to where they need to be and how their populations work. Now, I live behind a wetland, and every year during the springtime, there's a progression of frogs and toads that begin singing. The earliest ones are chorus frogs, and you may have heard them. They sound like the sound of your fingers running across combs. And they go on for several weeks, and they're very hard to find. I've been very challenged to get video of them, but I finally did succeed. And then come leopard frogs, and you'll hear them. They make sort of this low growling croak, and they sometimes sing at the same time as the chorus frogs, but usually right at the end of it. And then come the American toads, and the American toads sing a high-pitched trill, and they'll join in rising choruses like this where they sing together, and then they'll end. And then finally, we start to get green frogs, and green frogs sing with more of a cut up kind of a noise, followed by the final frog calling session of the season, which lasts throughout the summer, and those are bullfrogs. And they also happen to go from smallest up to largest, basically. So you're going from chorus frogs, which are really no bigger actually than my thumb even, and then leopard frogs, which can get up to about 3 inches. Toads get quite robust. They're different than frogs. You can identify them by, the warty look of their body. You get green frogs, which are sort of like a mini version of a bullfrog, and they are, as described, all green. And then the bullfrogs, they get quite massive. I've seen really, really large bullfrogs and heard them. I hear them all night, roop, 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 and through the windows of my house, they sound even like owls at night. Now, why are these progressions important? Well, the fact of the matter is, chorus frogs rely on being kind of the first and the quickest to breed. And it helps them for several reasons. By breeding in the really early season, even though they're very small, it helps them avoid predation. There aren't as many herons and egrets and things around there to eat them when they're calling. And so that's a pretty intelligent strategy. They also tend to like cold water and depend on that, and that helps them in their breeding season. Plus, there's not a lot of green vegetation around, so they can kind of find each other. Leopard frogs get going. They depend on this cryptic coloration because you start to get emergent plants, and they have all kinds of, as they described, leopard frogs have really deep patterns, and they vary anywhere from grayish all the way through bright green and even into gold color. Toads are, they breed, they leave egg cases, but then the young ones, and this is where this lesson begins, the young ones then move out of the wetland and up onto basically dry land. And it's a numbers game as to whether they survive or not. They'll do this during wetter conditions and rainstorms and things like that because that protects the young ones, that keeps them moist when they're first most vulnerable. But they go out into the world basically and hunt things that they need for food, and it starts very small, as you can imagine. I see some of these toads, and over the months they grow and grow and grow. Pretty soon they're more visible. I have to watch out to not hit them with my lawnmower during the summer months because they all come up into grassy lawns. And but green frogs are one of the most interesting things because along with leopard frogs, when we get summer rains in late June all the way through July, you'll get these eruptive migrations, and they take off. The young of the year primarily, which tend to be between 2 to 3 inches long, both leopard frogs and chorus frogs, and they take off. And it's a numbers game from there. Many of them will not survive. They'll get hit on the roads, or they'll die other horrific deaths as they go. They might get caught out in the heat and die of that. Some of them fall into window wells. I pitch them out if that happens and give them the second chance at life. But this eruptive migration is evolution in action. And what you have to understand is while these things were all born in a specific wetland and that was technically their home, they have to go find new territory. And that's how populations grow and diversify. And you can imagine this probably happens where populations will come from different wetlands and arrive at a single other wetland environment, and that's where the genetics gets mixed. And that's a healthy thing because inbreeding basically results in less resilient populations because any flaws that exist within that population are prone to be reproduced. So there you have it. I'm not strictly a herpetologist, which is the study of frogs, but I find this all fascinating because I love seeing this life cycle, these life cycles in action. And so whenever I'm out, I keep my eye out for frogs because I live next to a wetland and I've seen children coming by with nets. What do they do in winter? Well, after they've lived out these life cycles, they have to bury down into the mud and go into a state of torpidity, basically very low heart rate. They bury down in the mud. Their breathing rate slows down, their heart rate slows down, and that's how they survive the winter. And it's only until the water gets to a certain temperature and the sun gets to a certain height and can warm them that the chorus frogs then reemerge. And so nature has these signals, these instincts. It's built into their nature. It's an amazing thing to witness day in, day out. But I hope this helps you understand that frogs aren't just frogs. They don't just do one thing. They'll fight for the opportunity to breed. That's why frogs sing. It's the same reason why birds sing. But I encourage you to maybe look up those 5 kinds of frogs. Chorus frogs, leopard frogs, toads, American toads, green frogs, and bullfrogs, so that when the year's cycle comes in, you'll know something about them.